For there are eunuchs who were born that way, and there are eunuchs who have been made eunuchs by others, and there are those who choose to live like eunuchs for the sake of the kingdom of heaven. The one who can accept this should accept it. Matthew 19:12. Throughout history, eunuchs have been defined by their lack of body parts. Genitally mutilating one group to keep another pure, rulers have relied on eunuchs as keepers of the harem, servants who ensured the sexual purity of the palace women, and the legitimacy of the imperial lineage. Societies throughout the world have also castrated or emasculated young boys and men for religious, political, or cultural purposes. While oftentimes labeled erroneously as an exoticism unique to imperial China, eunuchs played roles in the histories of the Roman and Ottoman Empires, served in the Korean imperial court, and continue to exist in our times today. This video is a short documentary on the insane sexual lives of eunuchs. Not all eunuchs failed to perform sexually. History shows that in fact they were most preferred by women as better sexual partners. Since the removal of testicle meant they could have sex longer than most men, plus they had the ability not to procreate. Types of eunuchs. Throughout history, there have existed basically three types of eunuchs. Those who were castrated before puberty, those who were castrated after puberty, and those who had their penis and testicles removed during the castration. Those in the first group, who castrated during puberty, never developed mature sexual organs because they did not go through puberty. With the lack of mature male hormones, such as testosterone, their voices never changed, they had more feminine features, often gained weight very easily and lacked muscle tone, and they were totally impotent. The second group, those who were castrated after puberty, went through puberty, and though many took on feminine traits, it was easier for them to gain muscle mass, and they had the ability to get an erection. However, because of the lack of testicles, they could not produce sperm and therefore could not reproduce. They did, however, have the ability to ejaculate, though instead of the creamy white ejaculate most men produce, it would mostly be a clear viscous liquid composed of the parts of their semen not produced by the testicles. The third group lacked a penis and testicles and therefore was obviously not able to get an erection. Their bodies could remain masculine if the procedure occurred after puberty, but since it was a highly dangerous procedure during the years before modern surgery, it was often performed on young men. In the Ottoman Empire, modern-day Turkey, the Middle East, Northeast Africa, and the Balkans, African slaves who were bought for the purpose of guarding the harem were often taken into the desert on their journey from sub-Saharan Africa to the Sultan's palace, and the procedure was performed there. Their young Africans' penis and testicles were sheared off by a sharp blade. Then a hot blade would cauterize the wound, and their bodies were buried in the hot sand up to their necks so that the bleeding could be staunched and the healing could begin. Many did not survive this horrific and barbaric procedure. If they did, they would be taken back to Istanbul as slaves to guard the women of the harem. Conclusion. Being castrated did not end a eunuch's sex life. The first and last of eunuchs, those castrated before puberty and those who had their sexual organs completely removed, could not perform an active role in sexual relations. However, they could and often did take on the passive role. Eunuchs in history have often held high positions in society because they are seen as trustworthy, since the lack of testosterone removes a great deal of aggressive tendencies. They could and did use their sexual abilities to gain favor in royal courts, and the jealousies around their power could be used for or against them. Those who had fully functioning penises, such as they could get erections, could dominate others and gain favor with women, because they could provide a safe sexual partner without the risk of pregnancy. The downside is that most, if not all, eunuchs were slaves, and just as African American slaves were subject to the sexual whims of their masters, so were eunuchs in the ancient world. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.